Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and thank you very much for checking out today's video and spending some time with me. Guys, today sort of have a special video. I want to talk really to the anglers out there that are over 50 years old. Not to say if you're under 50 you can't watch the video, but I want to speak to the older group of fishermen that are out there, which is quite a few of my viewership. I think that the majority of my demographic is sort of between 40 to 65 years old. That makes up the main part of them there. So I think there's a lot of people that watch the channel that might find this interesting there. But what I want to do is I sort of want to give you guys some advice from my own perspective. I'm 62 years old now, which I can't believe it, that I'm that old. And I sort of want to go through a little bit and share with you some things that I have learned along the way so far that might, help you out down the road sometime if you're, 50 or 60, 70, 80 or whatever you are like that. Just wanted to share some of my own experiences with that. Now, one of the things and what I really want to do is I want to give you guys some advice from my own perspective that may help you out if you're sort of, struggling with the aging process a little bit. That's sort of the goal of the video here. But if you're one of those older anglers out there, you've experienced it up into this part of your life. You got your teen years, which are sort of full of the wonderment of life and the vigor of life, and then you got your 20s where you're sort of learning who you are as a person out there, sort of trying to find your mark in the world, set your place in the world. And then you got your 30s, and your 30s are usually when everything is sort of clicking on all 8 cylinders, and your ego's pretty much at the highest point then, and from all measures of society, that's probably one of the most productive points in your life, because it's a point in your life where you're maturing to a point where it benefits you a lot, and then all your senses have kicked in, and everything just sort of seems to be working really good when you're 30s. And once you hit 40, guys, you will notice a decline. You'll start noticing a decline in a lot of different areas of your life. And this is nothing that you should be upset about or anything that you should see as a negative, because it is simply part of the process of life. It's part of the balance, it's part of the cycle. So if one of the things that if you're 50 or older like that or approaching it, I think one of the first things that you have to realize is you cannot fight the aging process. You can't do it. It's futile to do that, and it is non-productive in every single way. I think the sooner when people realize once they start to hit about 40 years old that some things are just not going to quite be the same in a lot of different areas of your life, then that makes that transition into to old age a lot easier with that. Now, specifically, what I want to do in this video, guys, is I want to talk to what happens and some things you can do once you get 50 that is really going to help you out a lot as far as physically, mentally, emotionally, everything like that. The first piece of advice I want to give you guys, if you're over 50 years old, and this is tied into fishing in every aspect of your life, and I really want to appeal to you guys to listen to this and to heed this, because it is invaluable what I'm getting ready to tell you. When you turn 50 years old, if you haven't already done it, get your butt into the gym. I don't care, if you live in any town, you've got a gym of some size out there. Guys, there is nothing that is going to benefit you more than getting into that gym every day and working hard and getting in the best shape of your life, which you can be even if you're 60 years old. You can get in the best shape of your life. The thing about that is when you get in the gym and you start having discipline to show up to that gym every day, and you start seeing the results, it is going to change your life. It is going to change your life physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually by doing that. It makes everything about life better, including your fishing out there. It's like if I could tell you guys, what would you rather be? If you could be a 50 or 60 or 70-year-old dude out there that has had a spectacular career in bass fishing, and you've won everything there is out there, but your health is failing and you're sort of decrepit, would you rather have that over being like a bass angler that didn't hardly know nothing about the sport and you were in great physical condition? I think everybody would take the more clueless bass angler that's in great shape versus the decrepit, experienced angler out there. So from that standpoint, is once you get into that gym and you start getting stronger and you start getting more energy and you start getting more vitality, that is going to make every single aspect of your life better for a long time. Because I see, I've noticed this myself. It's like I've seen a lot of guys when they hit 50 years old, they sort of lose it physically. They start getting a big belly on them. Their legs start to get weak. They start to have back and neck problems simply because they're not going to the gym. They're not strengthening those muscles that they need to. And as a result, their quality of life goes downhill. And the first thing that's going to deteriorate your quality of life physically and mentally is a decline in your ability to do the same things physically you used to. Unless you have some type of a disability, guys, that prevents you from doing that, there's no better way to spend your money. There's no better time that you can apply to anything out there than getting in your butt in that gym. Practice jujitsu, get into the martial arts, something that will gain you flexibility and some type of discipline. So important, guys. I cannot stress this enough whatsoever. So after you do that, after you've taken up that, I think the next thing that's important to remember once you turn 50 as a bass angler is it's time for you to make a transition. It's time for you to stop thinking about yourself so much as far as your own fishing and what you want out of fishing. And it's time to sort of adopt the elder statesman and the mentor role a little bit. One of the great things that comes with getting older, guys, is you are wiser. And even though most people that are younger than you do not see you as wise, they will once they get older. Because I think one of the realities of life is that when people get older and they try to share their wisdom or their knowledge with people that are younger in their 20s and 30s, most people don't listen to that, especially people in the 30s. One of the things that I have found out about life, guys, is when you're in your 30s, you think you know everything, and you don't know everything. And I went through the same process as myself. My dad tried to teach me so much stuff when I was in my 30s that I didn't listen to, and he was right on. I mean, he was absolutely right and I had to learn it the hard way out there. So once you start hitting 50 and you're and older out there, try to transition that aspect and that viewpoint of your life into that role of teacher and mentor. It's something you can do the rest of your life. It's rewarding. It's the natural cycle. It's the same with the Native Americans. I mean, they went through the same thing. That's why the elders were regarded in such high esteem in Native American indigenous tribes, is because of the wisdom they held. They didn't have the physical abilities. They couldn't shoot a bow and ride on a horseback like they used to when they were 25 years old. But the amount of wisdom that allowed them to get to that age is critical to pass on down to the next generation. And once you hit 50 and you start getting older, 50, 60, 70, whatever, is that allows you to fulfill the role of what age and wisdom brings to you. Because younger generations, guys, they have got to have that knowledge and they have got to have that wisdom passed down. And I think if you sort of, focus on life in that direction, that it just makes everything easier and better. It's like you can transition into a different, newer aspect of your being out there. Especially just applying it to fishing with that out there. One of the things that I would suggest is, like, once you guys hit 50, just start to shut it down a little bit. Back off your tournaments a little bit. Back off the time that you spend on the water and try to spend that extra time in that role of a mentor out there. And a lot of people resist that, guys. There's a lot of people that fight the aging process, and they fight that natural progression that comes with age as far as losing a step and not having the abilities physically and mentally and everything that comes with it to perform at the same level that they did when they were younger. And all that does, guys, if you fight that progression out there, it's just going to make yourself miserable. That's why one of the things that I get on my channels a lot is there's a bunch of smart asses out there. It's like, oh, Randy, you hadn't caught a fish, forever like that. You can't compete anymore, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's fine. Let their egos talk like that. I've never denied that. I mean, I always make the comment that, my day in the sun's over. I'm 62 years old. I still know more about fishing than I ever have before. I can teach more about fishing than I could when I was at the top of my game. But it's just like, Mark McGuire, he's 60 years old now, and he's never going to hit 70 home runs like he did back when he was 30 out there. It's the same in fishing out there. So that's one of the things the smart asses don't understand, is they don't respect wisdom out there. Their immaturity their immaturity will not allow them to do that. So the quicker that you transition into that role of mentor and sort of drop your ego a little bit and the need to excel in bass fishing out there, I can promise you the happier that you're going to be with that. And finally, guys, and there's a lot of other stuff I could talk about, but I don't want this video to run forever out there. I think one of the responsibilities that we have as being older anglers is we have to teach the history of the sport, and we have to help educate people how important it is to respect the history of the sport. There are so many young anglers out there, guys, that they don't even know who Roland Martin is. They don't know who Rick Clunn is. There's a generation of anglers out there that are clueless about the history of the sport. I think that's one of the things that we have to do, whether you're a tournament angler or not, is to teach that tradition of the sport and never let it get to the point where technology and the progress that people have had in the sport, lets that wither and die away. That's why one of my favorite, social media, creators out there is what's called Bass Fishing Archives, that protects and teaches and shows the what the sport has come from compared to what it is right now. And all you dudes out there, if there's any 20-some, 30-some year old dudes out there full of testosterone watching this video, the only reason that you're doing this, what you're doing right now, I don't care if you're in the Bassmaster Classic at Grand Lake coming up or whatever, is that you have ridden on the shoulders of people before you that are now old. They're now over 50 years old. If it wouldn't been for those people out there, you would not have the opportunities that you have. So I think one of the important aspects of being over 50 years old is we have got to be able to teach that to anglers and protect and preserve the tradition of the sport. And that's another reason, guys, why I'm so adamant about this anti-technology and live scope, is, as I'm trying to protect the integrity of the sport, the way it was meant to be, and, all of the intrinsic values that goes with that. So anyway, guys, that's just a few things I want to talk about here, as far as when you get over 50 out there. It seems like to me that I see a lot of people that they're on two sides of the coin. Either once they get 50, it's just like they let themselves go completely, or once they get 50, they dig their heels in and just fight the aging process. You can't do either of those, guys. You just have to make the transition graceful into older age out there, because it's inevitable. And all you dudes out there right now that are at your top of your game, and you're in your 20s, your 30s out there, and you're on the top of the world, your day's coming, man. And you're gonna wake up just like that, and you're gonna be 50, 60, 70 years old. It'll happen that quick. I've been there, guys. I remember what it was like to be young and full of the vigor of life at 22 years old when I first started bass fishing tournaments out there, and I'm 62 years old now, and it went by like that, and it will for you as well out there. So main thing, guys, is just enjoy the ride. Don't rush through it. Savor everything that you experience, and step up and take responsibility for the role that you need to play as an older angler out there. And appreciate the fact that you've made it to the older age, because a lot of people don't, guys. A lot of people don't even get the opportunity to make it to 50 years old. So anyway, just a few thoughts, and get your butt into the gym, guys. And if you can afford it, get you a trainer a couple days a week. There's not going to be any money that you spend better. And I can promise you, guys, if there's one thing that I can tell you that will improve your life above anything else, is you go down tomorrow and you enroll in the gym, and then a year from now, and you go to that gym 3 or 4 days a week regularly and discipline yourself. You check back with me in a year and tell me how much better your life is on every single aspect of it, and you'll be amazed with that. So hope you guys are well. We'll talk later.